communication, and how has it changed as the world has become more interdependent? International communication, also referred to as global communication or transitional communication, is the communication practice that occurs across international borders. The need for international communication was due to the increasing effect and influences of globalization. What role has multinational corporations played in interdependence? Multinational corporations affect local and national policies by causing governments to compete with each other to be attractive to multinational corporation investment in their country. Multinational corporations often hold power over local and national governments through a monopoly on technological and intellectual property. Because of their size, multinations can also have a significant impact on government policy to the threat of market withdrawal. Economic globalization refers to increasing economic interdependence of national economies across the world through a rapid increase in cross-border movement of goods, services, technology, and capital. Multinational corporations also play a key role in this process. Those who view economic globalization negatively cite evidence of exploitation of the local labor force, funneling of important resources away from the country itself into foreign exports, and overall dependency of developing countries upon wealthy countries.
What is transportation? Transportation is the action of transporting someone or something, or the process of being transported. Transportation could be as simple as driving home with groceries and putting them in your fridge. However, with interdependence, transportation is on a global scale. It involves things such as international shipping like UPS. It is the process of transporting goods, resources, and services between countries. This needs to be done because some countries rely on others for resources. For example, the U.S. does not have the proper climate to grow exotic fruits such as bananas. Therefore, we get them shipped by air or sea from countries who can grow bananas, like Brazil. What role has transportation played on interdependence? Before air travel, countries had to ship resources the only way they could, on ships. This was slow, required a lot of workers, and was substantially more dangerous than air travel. Planes began shipping large quantities by 1911, and since then many improvements have been made. World War I brought many advancements to air travel and cargo planes, including the Arado R-232, considered the first truly modern cargo aircraft.
Every day, we use products that are made in China, Taiwan, Vietnam, and Thailand, and are sold all around the world. Multinational corporations are a key factor of interdependence. They bring two or more countries together with, for example, one country's company selling in another country with factories in still other countries, often in developing countries for cheap labor and materials. Some examples of common multinational corporations are Baskin-Robbins, BP, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Google, IKEA, and Starbucks. They have factories and stores all around the world. People of many different nationalities go to a lot of the same major stores and restaurants as we do here in the U.S. because of multinational corporations. The word interdependence represents the relationship between two or more countries who depend on each other and work together. This is different from one country being dependent and one being independent. It is like mutualism in science where each organism benefits, but neither one is harmed. In interdependence, two or more countries trade and work together, forming strong bonds and fierce competition between countries. One example of very interdependent countries are the U.S. and China. We have factories in China for cheap labor and materials, and borrow trillions of dollars from China. China gets lots of jobs from our factories and thousands of exports to us each year.
What are multinational corporations? A corporation that has its facilities and other assets in at least one other country than its home country. Such companies have offices and or factories in different countries and usually have a centralized head office where they coordinate global management. Some examples of corporations found in multiple countries are Microsoft and McDonald's. When did the world start to become more independent? The world started to become more independent after World War II. One example of how the world became more independent after World War II was the African nations. In World War II, it brought colonialism to a halt as the European powers were not able to focus their efforts towards stiffening the rising nations movements in Africa around the world. This included Vietnam and India and the Indian African nations.